Look, okay? This next one, it's going to ruffle a few feathers, but I need you to hear me out, okay? It's it's Antony, okay? One of the players that I think can improve under Ruben Amorim is Antony. I just want to go through the whole thing with this guy, okay? Because there's a lot to unpack when it comes to Antony. It's not a face value type proposition when we look at this guy. And I just want to go through each element of it just to add some sort of level-headedness and fairness when we come to assessing the guy, okay? The first one is the fee. There's nowhere that he can walk in Manchester without someone reminding him of how much he cost the club. Now, when was it the player's fault of how much a club pays for your player? Is just because a club pays 100 million euros or whatever it was, doesn't then mean that you were automatically valued at that and that your ability is at that level. And if you don't behave like a 100 million euro player, then you're not a good player. That's not really on him, that specific fee element, especially when you think of the fact that Ornstein himself was the one who came out and said that we'd agreed a 25 to 30 million euros plus bonuses offer with Ajax to conclude the deal for Antony at the beginning of the window where he was signed. So that was Ten Hag's first season, I believe. So if you're then gonna have that in place, but then you wait until, what was it, 3 weeks into the season, because he played, his debut was against Arsenal, wasn't it? And that was after the Liverpool game, I want to say. So if you're then gonna wait that long to sign someone and then let Ajax twist your arm and say, oh, it's 100 now or nothing, because the bargaining position has changed, and then you go to someone like Ten Hag, and this is where everyone kept saying, is it Ten Hag's fault? Is it Antony's fault? Whose fault was it? And the thing I think is, Ten Hag, when he was at the club, yes, he might have had a veto on certain suggestions. Yes, he could have easily said, I think that if he said, I don't want Antony to sign for that amount of money, then maybe it wouldn't happen at all. But I'm trying to look at it with a bit of realism, because if you go into another job and it's not your money you're working with the biggest club in the world who makes money, hand over fist, and you get the option of either having someone you worked with, right? You have someone you worked with who was performing, who was brilliant for you and was one of the standout wingers in the world for the time that you were there, which he was, or no one. Those were the two options that were being put out there, and we didn't have anyone in that right wing position. So you're going to pick, well, you could say we had Diallo, but was he ready? I think Diallo needed that Sunderland stint and the Rangers stint in a little bit to get to where he is now, to get that hunger and to get that physicality. And Antony, you have as a manager coming in, you want someone to make your job a little bit easier. And if you can have a flair type player that you think will get people off their seats, get people excited, and it's either him or no one, and the fee is ridiculous, but it's either him or you got no choice at all, and you might go through the summer or season thinking, why didn't I go for that? You're going to go for it, aren't you? So I want to just be fair with that, because I do find it weird to just wholly blame Ten Hag for that. It's easy to blame a manager back in the day when they had all the say. That's not really how it worked here, because Arnold and Murtaugh had an absolute stinker with this entire negotiation, and Ajax caught us with our trousers pulled down. That is exactly what's happened, and I think it's been pretty clear that that's what's happened. But with him, it's odd because he's actually had some moments, hasn't he? He has, not enough, obviously, but the goal against Barcelona, the goal against Arsenal, I think he scored the equaliser against Liverpool in last season's FA Cup run. And then Diallo obviously went on and scored the winner. So he has had something in there, but it's just been nowhere near enough. And last season, I was very, very tentative to talk about him because there were these court allegations made against him. Now, I'm not going to go into what they were because, it's now looking like the court case has been dropped, for what allegedly happened with him and an ex-partner. So, apparently it's been dropped, but none of us know. It's not to the case where we heard anything or saw anything like we saw in another case, obviously, which loads of people's made synergies between. But we have to be very careful if there is a victim here, but also if there has been a false allegation here, because no matter what, that derailed him last season. He couldn't really play because of it. I think he spent about 2 or 3 months out fighting those allegations, and he won the fight. But, this is the world we live in. We don't know, that might not be the full stop to it. So we have to act very gingerly here. We have to look at it and be like, did these things happen? Did they not? And this is something for the club to really look at. But I'm not going to be the type of guy who just says he did this when it's based on an allegation, or he didn't do this because he's my player. Like, you can't do that. I haven't seen or heard anything to suggest that I can think a type of way about it. All I know is that there is still a potential for these charges to be brought back again, but for now, the case is closed. For now, the case is closed. And I don't want to play with that kind of baggage. I don't think any of us do, but if this is now a time for him to prove that the case is closed, because that needs to happen first and foremost. And I'm pretty sure the hierarchy are going to ask for that as well before he gets a consistent rollout in the team. And then under Amorim, he could potentially reinvent himself as a wingback. So it's not like I'm saying that Antony is an incredible profile and he needs to be in the squad straight away and he needs this, but he does have the intensity. He does have some flair. He does have some technical ability. So why not put him in a role where he can use his intensity and his pressing to the best of his ability and hone those abilities while also linking up with players that are now going to be closer to him. It's not going to be right winger, you face your man, the best man wins. It is now going to be, you're going to be supported by one of the cams. You're going to see a striker rolling off you. Can we now improve subtle areas of your game in order to make you a reinvented left or right wing back so that you can benefit from the coaching that you're getting from this new Ruben Amorim, from this new Ruben Amorim systems?